that is here, and today I'm going to go over a lot of different topics on the renewal process. I want to make sure everybody's comfortable when it comes to what payments do we take, what payments do we not take, also just the process in general. And then as always, we'll open it up for questions so that way everybody is comfortable and everybody is ready to go. By the time we meet again, it's going to be open enrollment. Can you believe it? It's finally here. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got a great competitive landscape. Those of you who took a look yesterday, blind shopping is open. Let's start off with that a little bit. So if you get out to the blind shopping, there's a couple of links out there. Go into healthcare.gov. You can kind of take a look. If, for example, this will give you an idea of what the subsidy amounts are going to be. Really rates overall. So I think we're in a really good place looking at the competitive landscape. Things are really, really exciting. About $3 or $4 off down in Broward County and really close. So let's use Broward County as an option. So you can just kind of go through and click through, put in some information so that way you can kind of take a look at what the rates are going to be and put in an income. Really simple. Now, because this is up and now you could start to see subsidies and you could start to see plans and different things like that, you also should understand that that means web broker entities as well as the carriers are all going to start loading all the rates. So that way we can see, where we sit. Poor Molina. That's all I got to say. So it looks like, as I spoke with one of you yesterday, looks like it's going to be a 2-pony race. So really exciting. Looks like a lot of people are going to be going down to bronze to get those 0 premiums. We use a lot of ancillary products such as US Able, accident, critical illness, and hospital indemnity, as well as other ancillary products to make sure that we enhance these sales as people are dropping down to bronze. So as you can see, we've got some 0 premiums, which is an exciting time. We want to really try and drive people to those 0 premiums if at all possible. But when we look at Florida Blue at $4.30 to the lowest other policy as we look here. And then you just keep on going through. And as you get to our silver plans, if we looked at just the silver plans, I think our price perspective is in a really good place. Being in the number 2 position over AM Better, that we always have network, definitely in a better situation with network. So we've got, the silver plan here and we've got lower deductibles. We're a little bit out, but overall, not too much when we look at our My Blue, because we're looking at a 0 deductible plan with $1,250 max out of pocket compared to AM's Better's $675 deductible. So as you start looking and peeling back the layers of the onion, the Florida Blue with the network that we're going to have with the additional product, how it's going to be laid out, I think it's a very exciting times. So when we look at other areas, other counties, we are in a very, very good position. I think that, when we look at the differences in the products and we look at the network and we look at the functionality of the plan, the extra benefits that come with Blue 365 and really the Florida Blue product itself, we should be sitting pretty. So really good stuff overall and really excited about it. And I think that everybody on the call should be excited outside of really just being in a great position once again. So not only are we, the only product that is going to be available in all 67 counties, we only have about 20, 25 counties that we are going to have, competition in. And then when we look at that competition, I think that we just have to understand who our competition is, and we're in a good place. So exciting times. So let's kind of go through a little bit of the application processing. I think that at this point, I know it's a bit remedial, but because we've got a lot of folks on the call today that have never seen the Florida Blue login pages and kind of that process, I just want to review it one last time before open enrollment, give everybody an opportunity to ask questions, go through the live link proposal. Just that way everybody is comfortable with that. Again, questions at any point in time. I have a few questions that are typed in regarding benefits, so I guess we'll slightly review the plan matrix as well, so that way everybody's comfortable with that. Now, just a reminder for all of the new guys, you don't have a lot of access to these screens right now because you don't have a Florida Blue writing number. Once you get your Florida Blue writing number, there are some documents that are in the handouts that I would recommend you downloading because certifications, need to be completed. Those certifications that you need to do are located on this homepage. You're going to come out to the sales and training materials. Oh, wonderful. Well, these things happen. Well, that's not good. It just looks funky. You're going to actually, it's not normally blue like this. Weird. But then you'll go out to that Florida Blue Learning, as we all know. And at this point, it's everybody on the call outside of a few of the new folks. You go into the library and you need to make sure that you get that ACA for agents and brokers done first. That's going to give you permission to sell on the marketplace for Blue Cross. And then those of you that are going to be doing Medicare certification, I think at this point, if you're just joining us, I would, I don't even know if I would bother, because it's going to be a pretty big investment of time, probably 10 hours or so, and you need to do the core training. After you complete that core training, then the product curriculum will come up. You need to do both of those in order to sell and offer Medicare. If you do sell or offer Medicare products and you don't have those certifications done, you will not be paid. Just the CMS and Florida Blue rules, so you got to really do that. So let's talk a little bit, go into process and application. We've got our couple of screens here. First thing let's talk about is contract maintenance. Contract maintenance, again, is going to be used for our off-marketplace folks that want to change their plan. Remember that for off-marketplace sales, that there is no binder that is going to be required, because Florida Blue is going to send them a bill. And when they get that bill, they will have to pay the binder if they are changing plan families. Plan families means going from an EPO PPO to an HMO, or an HMO to an EPO PPO. So for example, if you are on a My Blue policy moving to Blue Select, then there is going to be a binder that's required. However, off marketplace, the system won't allow you to collect that payment. On marketplace, those payment options will be available. So contract maintenance, again, is only for your off marketplace folks. So when we're going to be doing on marketplace quoting as well as processing, we are going to use this screen here. So if we go back, let's just show you how I got here. We are going to go to qualified plans. Now, the qualified plan link and the Medicare plan link both bring you to the same place. They're going to bring you over here. Now you can go straight out to the marketplace if you want to do that. But what you can also do is create a proposal, and you have your choices for individual or family and or Medicare over on the left. So if I'm going through and we just want to do a quote for someone, we can go through. Now you do have to be conscious that the 2017 subsidies are going to be illustrated here, because they have not loaded them with Florida Blue. So as we go through, and then we have our button here to check for subsidy. Many of you are using a web broker entity to do your quotes, such as ACA Express or Health Sherpa, which is still fine to do all of your quotes. Just be really careful if you're utilizing one of those web broker entities when you're doing enrollments, because those enrollments will display other carriers, and you do have to be really careful with that, because, you know, as we know, we don't sell other carriers. But if you go through the tool here, I can check for the subsidy. I can enter in my household size, and I can enter in my annual income, my filing status. This will then show me what my subsidy is going to be. It will also calculate my penalty. But again, this is for 2017. It hasn't been updated for 18. It will be updated for 18 on November the 1st. Shocker, because that's when it opens. Also, just a reminder that all of the renewal messages that will be coming out and the renewals that your membership will have will be located in their member account on November the 1st. They will not be there until November the 1st. Once we get into the quoting screen, now if we've done a subsidy determination or estimate on the last screen, I can click on the marketplace plans. When I click on those marketplace plans, I will see my A, B, or C variant located here with a 4, 5, or 6. I will notice my bronze plans as a number 1, because those are the standard variations of those plans, standardized plans. It actually applies the subsidy to here, and then I could take 2 of those plans, and then I could compare those plans. I could put them right next to each other. So while I'm sitting with a member, either on a web share or face-to-face in my office, I could show them the differences. Now, one of the key factors to remember is whatever you have clicked here on the top is what you have to have plans selected if we are going to email the live proposal. Just a reminder that an email of a live proposal is only available for new business, and that email of the live proposal will allow the member to enroll on their own without your assistance. And that could be on Marketplace or off. So in this particular example, remember, health is off Marketplace, Marketplace is Marketplace, qualified dental, well, shockingly enough, that's dental. But if I have the dental checked on the top here, I do need to come down and make sure I add a plan, because if I do not, it will give me an error message. So now that I have this set up here, I've got my two plans. I can go through sorting functions over here and add a plan. Going back to that, know that you've got some filters. If you want to show only silver plans, you can clean up what you're looking at through some of these filter options. Update that proposal. Again, if I go to email this live proposal, then it'll go through, and now I can see I've got my name. I obviously need an email address. I will send this over to a member. That member can view all the plans. The highlighted plans that I have at the top will show, but if they wanted to go and see and browse other plans, they could see the full list. What will happen, those of you that haven't done this, go in and do this now. When we go through it, and then you can, that way you see what your customer sees. That's always a good idea. So if I just simply got a quote for someone, then when I go, I got a quote on a web broker entity, or they know that they want a, MyBlue 1604C, I can go straight out to the Marketplace and process that application. As we know, we'll come in here. It's going to pop up a window. You cannot close this window, so go over here. Your username and password combination that is here is the same username and password combination that you use on portal.cms.gov. I click login, then we would have our lookup tools. Remember, there are some troubleshooting. The A team will be here on November 1st. And if you are doing an update or you are gaining that policy, you're switching them from one carrier to another, you need to work off of that 18 application, not the 17. The only time you'll be working off the 17 application if you are facilitating an SCP or you're facilitating some other type of change that would be affecting the 17 policy. Now, I do want to remind everyone that we talked about updating incomes. At this point, because we're only 5 days away, I think that ship has sailed. So if you are in the process of talking with your customers and getting them to an appropriate level of C variation, so for example, if last year you put them at a 11,880 because they miraculously made the bottom of the least amount that they could, that's just a lot of people, very interesting. Know that they will not have an eligibility for 2018 unless they allowed the Marketplace to look at their tax filings, and those tax filings would have represented a higher number. Now, that being said, so if you've been going in there up until yesterday or today, I would say that's fine, but understand that all of those BAF files that come over from the Marketplace to Florida Blue, I think that ship has sailed. My personal opinion is just stop doing it at this point and wait till another 5 days. And then on the 1st, when the bell rings, then you can continue doing that and talking to those members. So remember, we're going to look up a policy. We're going to go and we put the state, the name. I do want everybody to be conscious that if you are looking up someone's policy, that you do need to be really careful about how you type in that name. Now, if you're working in Miami, we've got a lot of Latin folks in Miami that are, hyphenated names, multiple names, Rodriguez, Suarez, Diaz, whatever it may be. And, when we have those names, even a John Smith Jones, so it takes, all of those. But if there is even a space that is typed incorrectly, then you will not find that application. So just be careful when you are doing a search for an update. Once you find that application for 2018, I'm pretending here because it's not there, I would now update that application. I would attest to that information. And then what we need to do is we need to make sure that our NPN number is in here, make sure that all of our income and all of the information is in there. Now you can see they're doing some updates, so this doesn't have an application listed in here. This started yesterday when they were doing all their updates, shocker. But you can see I have a number up here. If I was looking at a life event, I would then be able to make those adjustments and report a life of change. Get into that application, confirm all the information. When you're done, there will be a button that says view eligibility. you really need to save that eligibility and send it to your member. And then you will return to the enrollment website where it will bring you back into Florida Blue, and then you can complete the enrollment and collect payment when necessary. So there's a lot going on with that. I mean, it's really not that hard of a process. It's pretty simple. It should take you very quickly. It will automatically cancel the old policy. So if they were on AM Better or Molina last year, you go in, it'll automatically terminate that renewal going into Molina or AM Better, and it'll bring it into Florida Blue. You really want to make sure that your NPN number is in there, because if that NPN number is not in there and that person is coming from another carrier, you probably won't get paid. We will have some proofing documentation only if you are doing it through the Florida Blue website, because you will have a copy of the application. You'll have all of that information that is there at your fingertips. So if we need to go to Florida Blue, we can absolutely go to Florida Blue and talk with them. Now, all of your membership will show up here in your prospects. You will see different statuses that you have. For example, application submitted, application started. If I sent Mark Smith here, you can see I sent him a consumer proposal. He opened that proposal and then he's looking at it, but I could of course go and view, see what we sent him, and we could then of course speak with him about it. You can't adjust it once it's done, once it's in here, right? So, I mean, if you're going to go through and you want to change what you sent, you'd have to create a new one because it's not going to give you that ability to do so. We go in here. We can view the details for Mr. Smith. We could edit the demographic information. It'll bring me back in, but I'm actually going through and starting a new one. And then it's going to give me a little bit of a mess here. So my opinion is they're going to get all of those plans. If you've emailed that proposal to them, I would just let it go and do a new one. It's just quicker. Okay. So the application process, in my eyes, pretty simple. I think that from a competitive advantage, we're in a good place. So we've got some questions. Let me see what questions we got. I will cover the matrix questions in a moment. Florida Blue is saying not to set up APO until 11/1. So if you enroll off marketplace now, do we need to still submit a paper binder? Yes. Yeah. You don't want to set up you can do the online payment. I believe the binder screen is there for new business off marketplace. And can a client rely on APO? Absolutely. APO has never been the problem, except for last year when we changed the billing processes. When we moved from HPS to Blue Cross, that's where we had a nightmare. Now there's no changing in the billing situation, so I think that they would be ready to go. Why are they changing APO and asking us not to do them because until 11/1? They're doing upgrades, they're doing system load tests, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. Yeah, it's not happy day, but open enrollment starts on 11/1 technically, so we should be at a good place. An off-market client paid her October 2017 short in error. What number should she call to make up the payment difference? 1-800-FLA-BLUE. Or she can log into, or he can log into their member account or download the app and make a payment there as well. They can go grab their barcode off of the app, the mobile app. They can also get their bill with the barcode off of their member account, bring it into CVS and pay the difference there. Please save a receipt. Would you please go to the renewal process or converting a new plan option? I think I just covered that low. If I did not, let me know. I noticed that after I send the live link, I'm not able to open the quote after it's been sent. Is there a way to see that again? I think I just showed that. If I did not, please let me know. Do you have a script as what you are telling people are referred to you that have another agent and they don't know, or if they no longer work with their current agent? Yes, absolutely. Please, unfortunately, due to PHI and HIPAA, I'm not going to be able to help you with your renewal. You can go onto the marketplace and do that renewal, or you can call 1-800-FLA-BLUE, and they would be able to help you and assist you with your renewal process. However, you can absolutely still do that renewal, but, you just have to understand, is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Are you selling them other products? If you're just going to sell them a dental plan, I would say no. But if you're going to sell them an accident, critical illness, or some other product, then you may want to entertain doing that renewal or urging them to stay in the plan that they have now. How does the live link work for marketplace enrollment? The same way, except they're going to either have single-sided sign-on or they will have to go out to the marketplace to complete their application. We won't know that final answer, Lonnie, until, you guessed it, November the 1st. What is the best way to quote a CSRA client that might be better going with an 1800 series silver? It seems like it would be hard to compare on and off marketplace plans. No, I mean, I don't think so. I understand your point, Bill, because they're only available off marketplace. But if you were in that screen that I was just at, in that marketplace screen when I did the quote, you can open up the health plans. You can select those silver plans and then have them on the top. And then you could have the subsidized plans down the bottom. A variant people, I mean, you know, they're giving up that cost share availability with the A. That's a balance. I don't know too many A people that are going to go to off marketplace and give up their subsidy and cost share reduction. You may be better off looking at those folks and putting them down to bronze on marketplace so they still get their subsidy. The last thing in the world you want to do is get a call from that customer when they're filing their taxes and their accountant tells them that they were eligible for $500 a month in subsidy, and you sold them an off marketplace plan and they get nothing. It's just something to be careful about. If all we're doing is updating their money and keeping the same plan when we pull them over into Blue Cross, do we do a new application, or does update go over the new rate is applied for 18? It's the same way we did it last year. If they want to stay in the same plan, then they could just stay in the same plan. If all they want to do is update their income, you can update their income during open enrollment. It's open enrollment. You might as well bring them back in. But if you update their income on their 2018 eligibility and they're staying in the same plan, there is no reason to bring it back into Blue Cross and take a new application. The renewal process in switching from an HMO to another HMO or EPO, it's the same thing. It's just like doing a new application. You're just selecting the new plan low. The only thing that you have to make sure is that if you are making that switch, HMO to PPO or EPO to HMO, that you are collecting money, because the money will be necessary in order to effectuate that policy. Can you show us how to use the lookup tool once again? Sure, I was getting to that, so let's get right to it. So if we are in our home screen, we will be in our home screen. We come over to account management. We come down to aligned accounts. Now you'll have to enter in some information in here in the member search tool. The member search tool will then return you a couple of different examples of results. And those results will be pretty self-explanatory. And it's going to tell you whether it's a non-active account. It's going to tell you whether it's an aligned to another AOR. Well, it's any AOR, so it could even be your AOR. It'll also tell you that it's a non-aligned account. And if it's a non-aligned account, you understand at that point that that's a Z code, and then you would be able to get a commission on that. Now, if it shows that it's a not active account, before everybody loses their mind and starts typing this in and saying, oh, well, I've checked and I've had many people who I can't find, 99.9% of the time, it's user error. I'm sorry, but it is. And it might not be you as the user error, but it could be. So how do we adjust for user error? So what happens is that if you come into this aligned accounts tool and it shows non-active policy, this is the big one that I'm getting. Or it's your customer and you're saying, I put all the information in right. Well, what we've been finding is most of the time, either you're not putting the information in right, you're not spelling something right, you've got the wrong date of birth, you got the wrong spelling of the name. So if you know that that account is active, and you're wholeheartedly true, and yes, it is, then you want to come over to the temporary ID card search and you want to take a look. So take a look and tell the customer to pull out their contract number and type in their contract number, and that is just with the H moving on. And then you will see the appropriate spelling and date of birth. Now, there are times when maybe something got fat-fingered on the marketplace. That information was transitioned over to Florida Blue incorrectly, but whoever typed it in may have made a mistake. The customer may have done it. Who knows? There could be lots of reasons for that. But before we throw our hands up and say everything is Blue Cross's fault, most of it is, and it can be that way. It's always easier to blame the carrier. It's just like somebody saying, I haven't sold anything because you got really crappy leads, right? We all know how that goes. So when that happens, just do a little due diligence. And, at that point, you've got to make a decision on if it's true or not. Because remember, if it's a non-active account, then that would be a new commission in many cases instead of a renewal. I'm getting some specific questions about particular policies. Let's just see here what we've got. This looks like it's a binder collection. I have an on-marketplace client who is effective for 11/1 through an SEP. Binder payment was not done at time of application because we had to wait for the SEP to be approved. It is now approved. How do we pay the binder and set up APO for December? You can simply call 1-800-FLA-BLUE. You can call agent services and obtain that member's contract number. You would need the contract number in order to make the payment. And if they call Florida Blue, they should be able to make that payment as well. You will not be able to set up APO, but you will be able to take the binder payment over the phone with Florida Blue, and then they can effectuate that policy for 11/1. Be mindful that if Florida Blue still has not gotten the file feed from the marketplace, then you won't be able to make that payment, so you will have to identify that. You can obviously call agent services if you are the AOR and get that contract number to make ease of payment easier. Ease of payment easier. Off marketplace, stay in the same plan. We do nothing. Correct. Do nothing. Just call them and make sure that they're happy. And we should have done that already. All right. Let's go through a question. Good morning, Jose. I have a 32-year-old female member who is on My Blue Silver. The premium is going from $45 to $98 a month, and the zip code of 33614. She said that her budget will not allow her a $55 medical insurance. How can I help her if she wants to keep the same plan, 1604 Silver? Well, 32-year-old, it really depends on the income that you disclosed on that. That's a little bit of a deeper question, changing networks, dropping to bronze, identifying utilization of that policy to drop her to a zero premium may be best. And if something happens, you know that you can always adjust the income throughout the year to get her back to a more robust plan style. So there's a bunch of variables in there, but, sometimes you just can't fix everything. And if, they can't afford $98 a month for their health insurance, I can understand that. And we could kind of take a look at that, right? So let's use that as an example because that's a good one, right? So let's go through edit the household. Let's skip. Let's close this. Of course, this is going to give me this problem now. Hold on one second. I don't know if I moved that link yet. I did not. The problem is that I cannot. Here we go. So let's do that one again. All right. 33614. Hillsborough County. Choose. Just me. Continue. 32. Female. Not that that matters because same prices. All right. What do we got for a household here? Income. Still 12-1. That's shocking. Okay. You may want to think about kind of looking at some other options for that pricing. It's interesting for that income level. So if they are on looking at a silver plan right now, zero premiums, we get into simple choice plans, which nobody really likes. I mean, they're okay, but nothing spectacular. So we're at here, AM better. It's got some gold. We've got some silver here. Yeah, they really killed it now, didn't they? Hillsborough's interesting. I would drop her down to bronze because if you're looking at the My Blue 1604, let's see if it's on this page, at $55. I mean, quite honestly, you're really not going to have a choice but to drop her down to bronze. There's really no other option for her. So, I mean, that's my advice. Drop her down to bronze, add an accident plan to that. She's 32-year-old female. You know, what is her utilization? So in that scenario, in this example, what is your utilization of the policy? You know, are you taking medications? Are you worried about having a baby? And if those things are going to happen, you know, inform her. I'm your trusted advisor. I think we should drop down to bronze. Let's get you to a zero premium. And then what we could do is we could always adjust it throughout the year if we need to. You may end up having to pay a little bit more if you get sick, but you're going to be with Florida Blue. You're going to have a great network to work in. You know, we've been out of pricing structures in Hillsborough for quite some time, but we've always been, very successful. When we look at the AM Better network, it's really where things have changed. You know, they still don't have a great network that we have to worry about. Pricing, yeah, we do. Bronze would be my answer. All right, let's see some other questions. So somebody's asking me about understanding the benefits and understanding the plan matrix. So let's kind of talk a little bit about that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our drive. Now, I believe you have this information in your Dropbox, but if I go to the 2018 matrix. Now, I like to use the matrix. Some people don't agree with me, but everybody to each their own, and I understand and I get it. But what you do need to understand is that in the plan matrix, it really does give you everything that you need. So if you're looking at the paper formulary, the paper formulary is going to identify the tier level of your medication, and then that tier level is represented inside the plan matrix here in the prescription drug section. Now, what you will know is that tier 1 is going to be your preventative, generic preventative contraceptives, some other preventative medications as well. Tier 2 is condition care generic medications. Those are medications for the treatment of high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, asthma, mental and nervous disorders, COPD of the generic type. Now, if it is some other condition, it's not going to be under that, so it will be defined clearly inside the formulary. And I'll also show you where you can find the formulary for those of you that are not sure on that either. Your preferred generics are a tier 3. Your condition care brands are a tier 4. You can see that represented here at $20. Be conscious of the preferred generics at $40, non-preferred generics in this particular policy, 30% coinsurance, and then 50% coinsurance, always of the negotiated rate for those medications. And of course, if they do mail order, they save. Now, where you want to be careful is on, you know, plans that we have that where the certain medications are subject to the deductible. I think $14.49 is going to be very appealing this year. Like for example, what we just talked about with Jose's question. Because in that $14.49, a zero premium for his particular member, $24 for her generic medications. She just has to make sure she's taking generic medications. $4 for her medications that are condition care generic medications. If she gets condition care name brand drugs, a $30 copay. So a very robust plan. Still getting our first 3 doctor visits for free, getting a $35 copay from there. This is a bronze plan, everybody. This is pretty strong. $65 copay for our specialist, as you can see listed here. Someone was asking about how laboratory testing is handled on this. So if we come down to our labs, independent clinical labs, my God, I can't see anything, a $20 copay. So you go in network, we use Quest Diagnostics. We do not use LabCorp. And if they go, they will pay $20 for their blood. So, you know, using the matrix, I like the matrix for searching for plans and plan benefits. You also have access to all of the summaries of benefits. They didn't make the nice, pretty brochures that they had last year. They say it was too expensive. I don't know how expensive it is to make PDFs that we have to print. It doesn't make any sense to me. But don't ever send this to a member. Do yourself a favor. Send them an email proposal, a live link, so that way they can see those benefits and go through. Is it safe to say that all plans have 3 free visits? No. You're looking at a plan right here in front of you that doesn't. So I wouldn't say that at all. Standardized plans are not going to have that benefit. Off-marketplace plans are not going to have that benefit. You could tell everybody that all of your wellness is covered at 100%, because in addition to those 3 visits that are free on certain plans, everyone is going to get their wellness examination for free. Ladies are going to get their annual female wellness exam plus their regular annual wellness exam, so they get 2. We know that if we get colonoscopies, those are at no cost unless they find something. Mammograms are going to be free, of course. If you have identified a sickness or illness with that particular part of your body before you go to the doctor, and you are not going to be utilizing that as a wellness visit. It's not wellness anymore. You're sick. How do labs work in doctor's office? They need to send the laboratory testing to Quest. Most doctors are aware of that, but they will be billed if they send it to LabCorp. And typically it's under the 1 copay for the visit, but they could be collecting the $20. It really depends on how it's billed. All right. So I think we're pretty good. I think everybody is probably pretty comfortable at this point. Online provider directory, everybody is pretty good with, I believe, just in case we have, some of us that are newer on the call. Remember, if you go to the Florida Blue website, especially those of you that don't have your writing number, you can search for Find a Doctor. Be very careful, everyone that has not looked before, when you're searching, that you are broadening your search. Remember, our largest network affiliation is going to be Blue Options. So when we come down, we could select Blue Options and we click Continue. One of the big things that I stand on my little soapbox about is making sure that we're looking at location, because some doctors will take certain networks only at certain locations. So for example, if I'm looking for Dr. Smith and I see him at a location other than Diagnostic Clearwater or Diagnostic Largo, then I understand that he's not in network. So, when there are some doctors that go to the VA, they treat people other places. Happens a lot with dermatology because they may be a member of one dermatological group and take Blue Options or take My Blue, and then someplace else they don't. So be really careful about that. You are able to click on the doctor's name and see all of their network affiliations down here. So that's a really quick way for you to check all of the doctors when you are looking. But really make sure that you're looking at that location because it's very important. Otherwise, you could have recipe for disaster. Now, the formularies are located in a couple different places. Now, we've sent them out. I believe Mr. Falco has. So the formularies are located on Florida Blue. You actually can go into the member side of things as the member, and you could look at, facts and forms. You go over to pharmacy, and you could see the medication guides. So on the medication guides, you will see the one for My Blue, one for Blue Options. Remember that there are 2 different formularies, and you must adhere to the 2 different formularies. There is also a different formulary for Simple Choice plans under My Blue and Care Choices HSA plans. The reason for that, just so you are aware, don't get caught with your pants down, not in a good way, but if that happens, because mental or nervous drugs are not conditioned care drugs on our HSA plans. Very important that we're comfortable with that understanding. So you can go through here. If you look at our formulary, you should save a copy of this if you have not already. I'd be shocked. But you can do a Control F to find a particular drug. If you can, and then it will identify that drug, and you can kind of see where it's at and just kind of get through here. And be conscious of our different areas of controls. So obviously the first one is easy. That's your drug tier. That's going to identify how it looks on the matrix. So in that matrix, it shows me the plan tiers. So you can identify the plan tier for the medication. Just get to a plan. So we know we got all of our tiers here. If I'm looking at the formulary, it's going to tell me what number that is. It's also going to show me if that's a specialty drug. It's going to show me if that prior authorization is needed. That means the doctor needs to write a note before I can fill it. So if your member goes to the pharmacy and they say, I can't fill my medication, there's a couple of things that could happen, right? Number one, maybe they didn't pay their bill. That happens most often. Number two, they could be at the wrong pharmacy. Remember, they can't use CVS. They have to use Walgreens, right? Or one of our other participating pharmacies, but the Walgreens is really the one to go, especially if they have MyBlue. That's their only option. Quantity limits, meaning I'm trying to fill 600 Oxycontins, and that may not be the right amount, so they have to get a lower amount. And limited distribution as well. These details are located in the front of the formulary, but you need to understand how to work them. So if your member is taking this specialty drug, they are going to have a note from the doctor. The doctor has to do some extra work, and you need to understand that. And no, the prescription is not the note from the doctor. I had somebody ask me that the other day, and that's no. There's a prior authorization form that they have to fill out as to why they're taking that medication and some additional details. There's also stepped rate therapy, which is called the Responsible Steps Program. And the Responsible Steps Program is identified early in the formulary, and that tells us all about how we need to try other medications before we try a more expensive one. And, that's important because if they've tried that medication with other carriers, they don't have to do it again. It's a one-time deal. The doctor writes a note, and the doctor signs off that they tried these other 3 medications, and as long as they did, then you're right as rain, move on, and they're happy-go-lucky. But if they've never filled that form out, then they're going to have a problem filling that medication. There's that coffee. Could a preventative visit be at an out-of-network provider? No. You don't ever want to go out of network, period. End of story. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not go out of network. I assume everybody on this call, agency owners, people who've been in the business for a long time, you all understand how balanced billing works, right? Let's see. Let's take a stab at this one. If I go out of network and I am a single individual on this plan, it tells me that my out of network maximum out of pocket is $12,500. If I hit $12,500 out of network, is everything covered at 100%? Got 60 people on the call. Good morning, everybody. We're almost done. Is everything covered at 100% after my 12.5? I have 5 people that are answering. Does everybody else just not want to play with me this morning? Come on. The answer is no, okay? The answer is absolutely, unequivocally no. Means that you will still be responsible for all balance billing charges. Balance billing charges are the amount over the allowed amount that the out-of-network provider is allowed to collect. So that allowed amount can be collected, and your member is responsible for that. So understand that that's the way that it works, okay? They will pay 100% of the allowed amount once you hit that $12,500. But for an example, if I broke my leg and the bill was $1,000, the allowed amount was $200. If I had satisfied my out-of-network total out-of-pocket expenses, I would still be responsible for $800 in that example. Because the allowed amount is $200. They'll pay 100% of it. I got to pay the rest. So just be careful you don't tell your customer, oh, but if you go out of network and the doo-doo hits the fan, you end up getting attacked by a shark, you don't have to worry about it. You're only going to pay $12.5. It's wrong. You're lying. You don't understand it. So just make sure that you understand that the $12.5, once you hit that, they will pay 100% of the allowed amount for those expenses, but the customer is responsible for all over costs. Now, not something I want you to talk about, but I just want to make sure that we're not saying once you hit 12.5, you're covered at 100%. No. Are you still covered in network for emergencies? No, unless you are in Blue Care, unless you're in an HMO. It's an emergency. You would have your emergency hospitalization piece, and that's why the ER facility services is in or out of network. that would still apply. But if you are admitted, or there are other bills that happen in that outside of the emergency room for that particular situation, you could be subject to other out-of-pocket expenses. So there is no network for the ER, so go get it taken care of. But if you're going to get admitted, you got to get out of that hospital. Can we still use My Prime for cost of prescriptions? Sure, but it doesn't identify the tier. It's going to tell you condition care brand, condition care generic. And if you don't understand how to read this retail prescription drug information, you could be telling them the wrong thing. Is balance billing applied to Blue Select clients if they say Blue Options provider? If they're out of network, yeah, they're going to be out of network. So most people who take Blue Select take Blue Options. So that really wouldn't apply. Is CVS Caremark still injectable drugs coming from? Yes, they are one of our specialty pharmaceutical providers, but that's not a retail location. So that would still apply. That would be for medical pharmacy in the home. That would be a little bit different, like infusions and different things like that. Yeah, that we still do, but not so much for. And before anybody says it, yes, of course, you can go to CVS and pay your bill, but you can't fill any drugs. I know, it's the stupidest thing ever. We sometimes we have a little quirkiness. Yeah, you know, it happens. Where is the list of the condition care drugs? You are staring at them. Okay, because the list of the condition care drugs are a tier 1. So you see they're all here. Or not tier 1, excuse me, tier 2 or tier 4, and you just have to understand that. So if we come in here, our condition care is either tier 2 or tier 4. So anything in the formulary that's a tier 2 or a tier 4, you can see here's some tier 1s. That's nice. That's how it's located. Standard pharmacy, yes. CVS is still, I'm talking ACA. This is an ACA conversation, Martin, absolutely. CVS is still a pharmacy that we accept with our Medicare plans. However, when it comes to under 65, they're out. So how do I find my pharmacies? Well, shockingly enough, we have a provider directory that gives us a drop-down box that says pharmacies. Now, I will notice I have infusion therapy to, I think whoever just said it, and this will be infusion therapy, but retail pharmacies, I can look at that. Now, I had selected that I was looking for Blue Options, but if I go through and I could see my Publix, but notice I don't see any CVS, no CVS on there. There are other pharmacies that they can go to. Now, if I change my plan and we go to the Medicare plans, so let's go up to the Medicare plans as Martin was talking about. I don't want to confuse everybody, but let's just kind of go through it. And I change plans now, and I do the same thing. I select my pharmacy. Watch what's going to happen. You're going to see some differences here. Now you have retailed and preferred retailed. So if I click retail and I go to search now I can see my retail pharmacies and I can see my preferred pharmacies where people get lower copays, lower expenses. But the first one on the list, I can still see CVS. I can still go there. Make sure you use the provider directory, everyone. I mean, don't make assumptions. You know, good example is, you know, Florida hospitals in Orlando. So one of our competitive advantages, yet a disadvantage, is going to be AM Better in the Orlando area. Because agents for AM Better are going to say, we allow you to go see Florida hospitals. They allow you to see one Florida hospital. And it's like Florida Hospital West, okay? So make sure your customers are not fooled by that. Yes, we don't have Florida hospitals except for Blue Options. That's a big bite the bullet for a lot of people. That's a big rate increase over, you know, our other networks. So just be careful when you come into a competitive advantage against AM Better. Their agents are going to be telling people you can go to Florida Hospital. I'm telling you now, but they can only go to one of them. So just be careful. And if that's important to someone, make sure that that's the right hospital. I don't even think it's up on their provider directory. So just be aware, ski with care. All right. So, do we have any other questions? Any other concerns? I mean, we are right in knee deep in it. Everyone should have their federal poverty chart located, as well as all of the documentation that's available in your Dropbox. You should be referencing that all the time, making sure that you're up to speed on everything. What questions do we all have? I mean, have I covered everything? Are we feeling confident that we're ready to rock and roll? Opening day is here. Now is the time to ask. You guys won't get me again. Not that some of us know, but we won't have another call until open enrollment already starts. We will communicate out any additional details that come last minute because we know that Florida Blue loves to throw a wrinkle in it. So any processing changes, any tools or things that are different between now and November the 1st, and I pretty much assume that we're going to see some of that stuff. Before anybody asks, no, final compensation addendums have not been sent out to agency owners yet, so stand by. We will probably get that on the very last day that we possibly can. All right. Mr. Falco, anything else? All right. Well, everyone, I hope everybody has a great day. Enjoy, get ready to maybe get a little bit of rest today or tomorrow, knowing that you're going to be bell to bell for the next 45 days. And so kiss your families and give them a hug and say, I'll be back when it's over. So if anybody needs us, please communicate. I know that Gigi is working really hard on all of your new agents' appointment process. Make sure your FFM certifications and refreshers are all done so that way as soon as bell rings and as soon as you get that writing number, you'll be able to facilitate and write business. I want to thank everybody today. I hope everybody has a great opening day. And here it is, finally here. Let's get ready to rumble. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.